Alright, we're back at my example project because after my video about the 5 tips for a new Microsoft project schedule, link will be in the show notes, I got an interesting remark from Jason on LinkedIn when I posted that video. He mentioned the need for a good calendar to prevent slipping milestones and embarrassing conversations with clients that would ensue. And I totally agree with Jason. A calendar is a requirement. When working with resources in your schedule, it's extra important for you to have that calendar in place. So let's dig into the topic, and it might be a multi-part video because the topic is quite extensive. But before we do, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So with Microsoft Project, you get the option to create calendars specific for your project. But that's not all. Calendars can be specific for the whole schedule, a select resource, or even specific tasks can have their own calendars. You might, for instance, have these different calendars to support specific scenarios, where you would have a office work continue, as if there's nothing wrong, but outside it might be freezing or there might be something else hindering you doing construction work. So you will need a construction stop during, well, it's freezing here now in the Netherlands, so during freezing periods. So in order to show you that, I have this summary task with the second video examples. And here we have a construction stop in March. And what we see on the left is that special little calendar. And if I hover over it, you will see that the calendar construction stop March is assigned to the task. That means that no work will be done during the month of March. And to further stipulate this, I have a task that only takes 3 weeks of working time. In the period March, I'm not working, and what you see happening is that April takes a little bit of work and February takes a little work. So if I, for instance, had the same task and I would do this after March, there won't be an issue. So starting on the 5th, I see that that little task is now 3 weeks and takes considerable less time. Well, that makes excellent sense. So let's open up and let's remove that blue calendar. So navigating to the advanced tab, I can state here constraint type as soon as possible. And if I click on OK, I see that prolonging task again because it won't do work in March. Another example can be related to resources with different work schedules. On a schedule for a person that works part-time, you wouldn't expect to have that person doing the work during a workday where he actually doesn't work, right? So if you have a schedule and you have a task and you put 2 resources on them and one of them is actually a part-time resource, you don't want to get him overworked or have the budget overrun because he's doing work that he's actually not supposed to do. So that example is in here where Dave and Eric work on a task for 1 week. They both have 40 hours of work to do. And to show you that, I will click on the details tab here. And you see that both Dave and Eric are working 40 hours of, but it takes 1.2 weeks. Well, that's because there's an extra day where Dave needs to do the work that Eric already completed. To show this a little bit more visual, you can actually go into the resource graph. Clicking on the resource graph and zooming in a bit, I can, for instance, look at the days. Oh, sorry, need to. When selecting the task, I can click on days, and when I navigate to that selected task by going into task, scroll to task, I can see that Eric is doing the complete work from Monday till Friday. But I also see that Dave is doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday again. So he's also working 5 days, 5 working days, which is a week. But he's not working on Wednesdays when he has the day off. Now, as a default, project only schedules tasks on work days. That means that a task of a week is actually just 5 work days. And as a default, each day contains 8 hours of work. That means that working from Monday till Friday, people work for 40 hours in total. And here's the catch. That will be done all year round if you do not specify differently, if you do not give it an actual calendar. So let's have a look at some of the core components of a project calendar. The easiest way to find out what calendar is in use currently is by going to project information. And let's do that right now, where I go to the project tab and I'll open up project information. Now what you see here is that I'm using the standard calendar, and by default we get 2 other calendars. We get the 12-hour calendar. Then there's that construction stop March, which I created myself. And then there is a night shift. And obviously the standard calendar. The easiest way to find making changes to the calendar is actually done in something that is called change working time. And you see it grayed out here now because I'm in the resource graph section. If I actually open up the Gantt chart, you'll see it light up, and I can make some changes here. So here you're looking into the calendar, which is the standard calendar for project. Now, if you want to create new calendars, you could do that by clicking on the new calendar, and you could create a new copy, which is by far the best practice. Don't start and create a new base calendar because there's a lot to take in. But make a copy of the standard, and that copy will now be available for you to make changes in. So let's create a copy of the standard, and let's call this the second standard. And in the second standard, you have a number of things that we're seeing here. So the top section is a graphical interface or graphical representation of all the days that are off. And as you can see, there's a non-working time or non-working days, and those are Saturday and Sunday, which makes perfect sense because a normal working day for most of the people around here is from Monday till Friday. So on the bottom half, we actually have the exceptions and we have work weeks. So exceptions are, well, they are the exceptions of the normal calendar. And these are specific dates or specific moments in time where you have a non-working day or a less working day. This could be, for instance, the 1st of January. So let's call it New Year's Day. And that will be on not this date. As you can see, I automatically have that date selected here, but I want to change that to the 1st of January. And I want to have only that day being a day off. And now I have the 1st of January set in my calendar as being a non-working day. Now in the details I can even specify that this is a yearly returning activity, or this is a yearly returning day off. And I can specify that it occurs for the next 20 years. Well, we can be very certain that that will happen. I don't know if you want to have a project that spans 20 years, but that's all up to you. You can even specify if you want to have working times only with a slightly less amount of work than the normal 8 hours. That's also an option here. Now, New Year's Day ends on the 2040. Well, I hope we'll all still be there by that time to see New Year's Day disappearing from my schedules, but who knows. You can also have a specific date that isn't every year, such as maybe you want to have the company off. Maybe you want to give the company a week off in the last week of January. Wouldn't know why, but that's a noble attempt to help your employees, right? So let's call this one extra vacation on the house. And if I click on tap now, it will select the dates that I have visualized here. So if I select another example, I will now see that the exceptional day or exceptional days are here, and there's an extra vacation. There's even a little pop-up that shows up for the 1st of January, New Year's Day. Well, very nice. If I click on OK now, then I can have this calendar associated with my project. And what happens if I do? So let's visualize everything, the entire project. And let's lower this bar here as well. Now we're already in February, so there isn't a lot to share here. But let's say that we started this project earlier. So let's say that we started this project in January. Project information, start date, and then we will start on the 1st of January. Now, as you know, the 1st of January is actually a day off. So what will project do? Well, nothing, because I have the calendar, standard calendar selected. So let's have that on screen, and we did. So here you see a couple of things happening. The calendar construction stop in March is again just 3 weeks because it isn't in March yet. And we're still working on the 1st of January, which is actually wrong because I don't want to work on January. Well, I want to work in January, but not on the 1st of January. So to correct this, you will actually need to go into project information and select the correct calendar, which was the 2nd standard. Clicking on that and clicking on OK. What happened? What moved? Well, a lot of things moved. So for one, the first day wasn't a work day. 1st of January wasn't a work day. So project found the first work day, which actually is the 4th, because that's a Monday. So on the 4th, we're actually working, and then there is a period of time where we are not working on the last week of January. And you again see that happening with this task actually jumping a bit. Now you can visualize these calendar exceptions on the Gantt chart itself. So right clicking on the top bar here and clicking on timescale will open up this little timescale menu. Going into non-working time, I can select the 2nd standard, which is currently the project calendar. So all tasks within the project will adhere to this calendar. Clicking on OK now, I can easily see that this is a week off. That's nice. Now, why doesn't it work for these guys? Because they don't have the base calendar of the standard calendars. So they are still working on that week because they have another base calendar. Now, base calendars is coming up in another video because this is already taking too long. And another thing that you will see is that this one is also still working on the 1st of January because they have a different construction template. So also here you have that exceptional calendar that didn't take into account the 1st of January. Let's have a look because we can actually see this. Change working time, navigating to construction stop March, And here we see that we're not working in March, but New Year's Day wasn't in here. So I can correct this. I can now say New Year's Day. And I can have that on the 1st of January, obviously. And here we go again, 1st of January. Clicking on OK, and I've corrected that. So this is very nice. Now, one of the things that you absolutely want to do with a good calendar for the project is you want to template that calendar. Once you have that good base calendar that represents your organizational needs, you might want to make sure that you put that into a template, because you don't want to have this all the time and need to do this all the time. So in order to create that base calendar template, navigate to Files, click on New, click on Blank Template or Blank Project, and make sure that you have a changed calendar here. Now call this, for instance, the Project Corner calendar. Have New Year's Eve here, New Year's, so New Year's here as well as here. Double click on it to make it a yearly returning for the next 7 years, and then my birthday on the 24th, it's a Monday, and this will also be a yearly returning thing, and I hope for the next 40 years it will retain or continue to be my birthday. And if I click on OK here, now there's nothing in here except that calendar. So let's make sure that that calendar is active. The Project Calendar the Project Corner calendar. Clicking on OK. Clicking on File, Save As on the Project Corner. And have it here as a project template. So clicking on Project Template. And let's call this Base Calendar. Base Calendar. Save. And I want to have everything removed here because I don't need it. And that's it. That's all we needed to do. So now I close this project. And so now I close this project. I'm returning here and I'm going to save this one for all the newsletter followers. And let's create a new project based on that little template, right? So here is our base calendar template. If I double click on it, it will open up a new fresh project. Nothing's in here, and that's just the way I would like it. So let's see. Here it says the Project Corner calendar. That is excellent. And let's see if I start a new project on the 1st of January. Let's see if I'm actually going to do some work there. Task 1. And it's going to have a duration of 1 week. And it's going to be an auto-scheduled task. And there you saw it happening. Everyone saw it, right? It jumped to the first week, the first actual week. And we can even look in the time skill and look at that non-working time. Navigating to the calendar, selecting the project calendar here. And we will see, yes, Friday. Friday is actually a day off. And we can extend this to a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Oh, yeah, that was wrong. 5 months. So now it will be at the end, close to my birthday. And here you actually see the 24th of May is also a day off. Everyone gets a day off from me. Wow. Excellent. And this is a new project. It's not even a template file. So this is some of This is one of the ways to help you out in a new schedule. Create a nice base calendar, template that file, and make sure that everyone has a clear start with a good calendar. Now, next time I discuss the calendars, I'll take a closer look at the tasks and resource calendars and what you can do with them. In the meantime, you might want to look at the videos I created to create a program schedule, and make sure to subscribe and don't miss the heads up for the next videos. Oh, and could you please click on the like button? That helps a lot. Thanks.